This is the Mortgage Note Lunch and Learn, and today we are going to talk about HECMs, also known as reverse mortgages. And part of this is brought to you by PEMCO, and that is the general partner with the NAP Nation Private Equity Club for the RDMO2 Fund, which stands for Real Estate Distressed Mortgage Opportunity Fund. It's the second fund of its type, and we're so successful with the first one, rolling out the second. And we are in particular raising for the 3 to 4 HECM auctions that HUD has. And so while we fundraise for those, this is a $5 million fund, and we're here to talk to you about what's going to entail here. All right. So here's a quick overview of what we're going to talk about. We're going to have a welcome, talk about the market opportunity, what actually is a HECM. Many of you guys are familiar with reverse mortgages, but maybe not from the standpoint of an investment. We will talk about strategy and structure of the fund of which we're going to be investing in it, and really why funds are the best way to invest in these reverse mortgages. Talk about the team and the track record, the project timeline, how they're going to use the funds, and how you can exit and then get involved if you're so interested. All right, perfect. So this is a rare opportunity that it was interesting in how this was formed, but our community has always been looking for those relationships in which we can really embrace in the private equity space. And a lot of that has to do exactly with just that, the relationships, people that we can, for lack of better terms, trust that they know what they're doing and that they're doing it the right way. So PEMCO Capital, as you know, they have direct access and they've been around for over 20 years. They're out here out of Encinitas, so you're gonna learn more about them. And we look forward to introducing our members to them because this is the type of relationships that we're here for. So we've all earned this, right? This NAP Nation has been around since 2013. And so similar to PEMCO, we have a lot of similar interests. And this is our opportunity to get in once again to some institutional returns. All right. So HECMs. Why HECMs and why now? Well, as you're familiar with, these HECMs are reverse mortgages and they're reserved for seniors 65 and over. Okay, so not only is that population growing, but the volume of these mortgages that are being originated is growing exponentially. And it's because we're all warming up to it, right? Believe it or not, this was started, I want to say, like during Reagan's time, so back in the 80s. And I'll admit, even to myself, I was like, oh my gosh, these sound very predatory, right? And we're scared of them. But fast forward 20, 30 years later, not only are we getting used to them, but these are now mature ways for us to utilize the market, right? And get the most out of our homes and age in places we like to talk about. So as the aging population grows, so does the use of these HECM loans. This is $6 billion in unpaid principal. I know for myself, this last auction was $449 million worth of inventory that was released nationwide. 449 million. So, and they do this on a quarterly basis. So if you can imagine, there's a lot of opportunity out there, right? And they have to get this inventory back out. So let's talk about the reverse mortgage and what it actually is. HECM stands for Home Equity Conversion Mortgage, commonly known as a reverse mortgage. So not only was it overlooked as a tool for people who were looking to get more out of their home and age in place, it's also a opportunity for investors, and that's what we're here to think about. But what you invest in, you also should know about very thoroughly. So before we ask you to invest in a HECM, you want to know, well, first of all, what is it from the retail standpoint? And then second of all, how do we use it and benefit from it as investors? And so what I'll tell you is that as we discuss what the reverse mortgage is, it's an opportunity for a homeowner who has equity in their home to have their mortgage pay them so that they can maintain the home and not necessarily have to worry about keeping up the place. And I mean that not only from a financial standpoint, meaning their mortgage, but also maintain the home. And so some of the fine print written into these reverse mortgages is that there has to be a certain amount of money set aside to maintain the home in the payment that they give you. So that's good news as we'll talk about on the other side of it as investors. But with that said, I'm sure you can take that leap without me walking you there, but we will talk about that on the other side. But while they're there, the money that they take out, right? So every month, instead of them paying the mortgage, they will be given X amount of dollars, and that amount, right, the P&I, reverse P&I, if you will be added to their balance. So if someone has a $100,000 balance, let's say, because they bought a home in 1980, right? And now maybe it's free and clear, maybe they own 20,000, but they do a reverse mortgage. Let's say that said home is worth $1 million now, easy thing in California. And maybe they don't want to be pushed out of the house. They don't want to go to work anymore. They can get a reverse mortgage. And if they're getting $5,000 a month from that mortgage, every month that mortgage will grow by $5,000 a month until they either age out of the home, meaning they go to assisted living, or they pass. And at that point, Fannie Mae will take over and buy back that home, right? And take that debt back. And so that's how Fannie Mae insures these mortgages. And once they decide to do that, that's why you see these out there so much. And so this is an entire market. You have mortgage brokers out there marketing these, pushing these to people because they actually are very functional, right? Believe it or not, there's only a small percentage of kids that actually want to live in the same house they grew up in. So a lot of people are worried about what about the heirs. And also in the fine print on these things is that the heirs, they have a certain amount of time, right, to buy the house back, and they only can buy it back at 95% of market value. Okay. And so that's the price they have to pay for it. So again, that lacks the incentive. Otherwise, they waive their rights. And so all that's done on the front end with these mortgages, as far as the risks, these are some of the most risk-free products in the note industry, in my opinion, because think about it, the borrower's not contesting, right? And the family, they don't really have a right to contest. They can come and purchase the house at 95%, which you undoubtedly are going to make money on, in my opinion. I mean, there's obviously scenarios where you can negate that and you can say that won't work, but that's all about what you pay in it, right? But there's built-in profit, right? So as we flip to the other side, just recap the good things for the homeowner. They get to tap into their home equity without selling, right? They can qualify without having to be income-based. Once they do leave the home or pass, the title transfers to Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae then liquidates via these private auctions, and that's where we show up, right? But let's talk about the auction. We just went there, right? You have to be able to take down and be awarded at least 5 in order to purchase anything, right? So there alone, you have to be able to take down 5 assets, right? It's not a cherry picking paradise. And so that's first reason why you're going to want to take large amounts of money to this this auction, right? And so you want to do fundraising in that manner. That's why we're trying to raise at least $5 million to go there. Second, there's a lot of big boys down there, right? With the recent administration, there's no longer any benefits given or priority to nonprofits or other small entities. So with that said, the big boys are out there. This last auction, there's one company, which I'll just keep their name out of my mouth, but they took down a majority. So they bought like 90% of that $449 million that was out there, right? So that's the type of stuff that's going on out there. Big fish take little fish. So again, you showing up to this auction with less than $1 million is wild, right? It's not even a thing you should do. So the first thing is just barriers of entry, why a fund is important, and then having the ability to actually work through these notes. So let's flip over to the other side. As far as what happens and how do we make money in investors, right? Some of you have put this together already. You've already heard that they have to maintain the house. So once we get the house at the auction, 9 times out of 10, the home may just need some updating, right? But it's been maintained, right? Worst case scenario needs updating. So we can go in there and make some quick decisions. And as far as how do we exit this, yes, we have to go to the auction for all of these. So that's got to be taken in consideration when you do your bidding. There are certain tricks of the trade, which some of these bigger funds do, which I don't mind telling you about so that they can avoid the auction. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to take these to the auction, and that's going to be your first exit strategy, right? And so because you have to foreclose on these still, right, your first step is to take this to the attorney and have them go and march this down the foreclosure process, get it in your name, all the paperwork in your name, set it up with a servicer. And then you get to the foreclosure process. Hopefully you have enough equity in there. That's why we love bidding on the ones that are upside down. But hopefully there's not enough equity in there where you can go in there and no one's going to buy it from you at the auction, right? You have control of the auction. But if not, then yeah, you can get brought out of the auction. So that's an opportunity right there to either make a small minimum spread or to actually lose money, depending if you don't know what you're doing. So you want to have the sophistication to bid on these as well. Because you can lose money right from the beginning. So how do you make money on these? As you can imagine, we can go out and then once we take REO and we take possession of these, right? If we did not get cashed out at the auction, now we can go in and the fund is going to try to move our money as quickly as possible. So we are going to go ahead and take the house and either put it on the market right away, depending on the condition and the equity. If it's really bad, we're going to sell it to a wholesaler, a local guy who actually can do the groundwork. Or if there's enough equity in it, then we'll throw our own money into it and put it on the retail market ourselves, right? And so that's what we're going to do with that $5 million that we're going to raise. And our goal is to flip it at least 3 to 4 times in that 5-year period. So let's talk about the fund itself. And a lot of the questions that I asked, they'll be in the FAQ. We'll have this presentation available for you. If you're interested, you can go to the PEMCOcapital.com website also and click on RDMO2. And you'll have access to the PPM and also the details. But let's talk about some of the questions. How long is the fund? It's a 5-year fund. Minimum is 2 years, right? Got to give us time to take the money and flip it a couple of times. There's a 10% preferred for those of you who joined us early. So that's going to be an amazing opportunity for people. When I talk to you about institutional returns, that's what this is. It's when institutions get in bed with funds like this, and that's normally who does this, they get very, very handsome returns. And so that's what I was fighting for and why we want to get with someone like PEMCO, because we're going to get a 10% preferred, right? And so quarterly, you're going to get 10%. And after that's going to be 80-20 split, 80 to the investors, 20 to the general partner. So all in all, the last fund, I can tell you, you can bet on anywhere between 15 and about 25% when it's all said and done with the split, depending on how it can go. But that's the type of return you're looking at, double digits. We're trying to make sure that we can get $1 million so we can get to this next auction, which is going to be here in September. And so I'm currently doing calls with investors. And Tiffany and I are always available to talk to you more in detail. Auctions are held 4 times a year. We have direct access with PEMCO and the tools needed. They also have a nationwide workout team, which is the other reason why it's amazing to work with someone like that. So we're really going to be able to flip this really quickly. So this is going to go over the track record of both NAP and PEMCO Capital. Many of you are familiar with us, so we won't spend too much time on this. Just wanted to get into the deep throes of everything. If you are new to this community or PEMCO Capital, definitely reach out to us and we'll be happy to dig in deep. You can also find us online. Again, the fund is RDMO Fund 2, and we're looking to work with distressed mortgages and assets. All right. So timeline and use of funds. Let's get into that, right? What are you guys going to do with the money, you might ask, or you should ask, right? And so step 1, acquisitions and workouts, right? The funds are going to be deployed immediately following the first auction win. This last RDM1 is still in business, right? And so as we wrap that out, we actually won $2 million worth of inventory off of that fund. But the statistics are wild. If you ever want to get into it, again, reach out to us. I'm always willing to sit down and chop it up, take me to lunch, anything of that nature. But yeah, the statistics of this are crazy because we bid about 17 million and only won about 2. So that's the type of prowess we have to have, right? It's not even enough to have 1 million or 2 million. You've got to be able to bid, 5 times that just to win 1 million worth of stuff. So it's in a competitive market, but with that said, we're going to obviously acquire everything, get capital deployed immediately. That's the goal. Is we don't want to have money sitting around. Once assets are acquired, they're going to be repositioned, meaning putting our name and all that good stuff. The quarterly payments are going to begin after our resales start being secured. So I would imagine the first 2 to 3 quarters you'll get nothing, and then after that, you're the 4th quarter, so you start getting your returns because we got to flip that money and put it to work. And once we get to profit, we're going to use that to start putting money aside and also paying that 10%. We're going to stabilize that portfolio. That's what PEMCO does. And that means getting those exits out of the way, exit strategy to start working on those quarterly distributions and making sure that we have a fine balance of the money that's coming in and out as we're able to work the portfolios and make those decisions and get that capital rotation, which is number 3. We're going to be able to reinvest those proceeds from early exits, right? So some of these, if we get bought off the auction, at that point, I assume we'll make anywhere from a 10 to like maybe a 12 is probably what I say, maybe a 12. We're baked in about a 12% minimum to about a 20% at the auction, right? And so we're hoping to see higher than that. But if we get that in and out within the first 6 months, then we can flip that a couple of times. And you can see how we can get our returns very favorable if we can do that even at the auction, right? 2 to 3 times on a yearly basis if possible. So that's where we go through our liquidation phase after the 5th year, right, of doing that. we're going to start liquidating things that probably around year 4. So we have a year to get everything liquidated. That's when we will do that profit split at the end. So for those of you who are part of the community, you know how much I love having fun with you guys. So it's just like going out into Halloween, right? We're all going to go they're going to go out there, collect all the candy. And at the end of the fun, we're going to put the big bag of candy in the middle of the room and then start liquidating everything and splitting up the profits. So that's the way I like to look at it. So that's that final wrap up with those assets are sold and remaining profits are going to be distributed. And then the fund will be closed. And just like with RDM 1, you'll have an opportunity to roll over should we have another fund. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, you can call for more. This is what I expect the returns to look like, right? Our preferred return. If you're early, you're going to get 10%. But other than that, if you miss the early bird, you get a 9%, still very handsome. The profit splits on the back end, right? 80-20 to you for the early investors, 70-30 for the ones that are coming after. We're going to have some great exit strategies that we just walked you through. And there are some exit strategy examples at the end of this. So again, you can get access to this by going to the PEMCO Capital website and taking your time through this, and or this is being recorded and I'll throw it up on YouTube so you can pause, rewind, and all that good stuff. All right, some of the statistics about this market, the HECMs, right? Like I said, this is just a growing market. So we have to be part of the solution. So there's only 20 to 30 participants in this auction. So think about that. When I got in this industry, there was only about 10 to 15 people that were able to buy at this level. So in that 15 years, it's grown, almost doubled, but look at that. It's still very, very small. So as you'll learn in the class, there's a certain way that we get access to it, right? Because we're the smaller guys, but we still can get access to it. And that's really what we're trying to do, is get in there. And we think we deserve some of these profits as well. But yeah, over 73 million Americans and over 65 plus and growing. So you can see this is a healthy market. We've participated via PEMCO in 7 auctions so far. And so we've got a little rhythm here, right? And deployed of 133 million. And so again, contact us to find out more about the details of our performance, but definitely good to have people like this working with our community. So on that note, I want to thank you guys for coming by and checking out this presentation. This is how you can contact us. I'm going to leave this here on the slide just for a few minutes. For those of you watching this on video, you can go ahead and take an opportunity to write the information down. That's so you can contact us. Tyler, this is a women-run fund through and throughout. So I'm excited to talk to you about that. Tyler will be at our masterclass in September. So we look forward to getting an opportunity to meet you guys and build those relationships that are needed. I will let you know before I wrap this up that there is an appendix here, as mentioned. So this, you can go through and see some case study examples. FAQ, I'm going to spare the details here for the sake of this recording, and then entice you guys to go ahead and pull this up. But you're going to find some case studies, FAQ, some of the results from the July auction, then of course our legal disclaimer. So I want to make sure you guys can see all that before we dig in and I don't spoil all the fun. So thank you so much for your time here today. And that is the presentation. I'm going to stop the recording. And if you have questions, I will hang out afterwards.
Awesome.
No specific questions about the HECMs.